friend.
Sounds good. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Well, hopefully tonight's worth your time, you guys. I know our time is limited.
It is. What do you know that I don't know?
Yeah, right. Death and taxes.
You know everything, Nick. We
That's
invite
right. I
you on
forgot.
to learn from you.
Good grief.
How am I going to make this? It's weird. Did everybody get that values exercise?
Yeah, did everyone get it on the WhatsApp?
Okay.
I did, yeah.
Good, good. And did you take the time to do it?
I did, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it'll come up in the middle of the presentation, but did you learn anything new about yourself?
Um, I guess I'm gonna go because I started talking. I
Yeah.
realize you're probably asking everyone, but here I go.
Get the ball
Um,
rolling.
I noticed like a pattern in mine once I got to like the top 10.
Uh-huh.
I had a couple of like kind of almost like groups of words that I was like, oh, that's interesting because they're kind of like related to each other. So one was like, um, some of my common ones were like autonomy, independence. Um, I forget. There were like two other ones in a similar category. So I was like, okay, well, that's clearly important to me. um, and then same with like, um, I added a category which was fun, but then like adventure was also another one, and I feel like those are kind of similar. Like, I don't know, I just had some kind of like similar undertones, but it was kind of hard for me to like actually finally narrow it down to five.
It usually is. Okay, so we'll,
Yeah.
we'll bring up the values stuff here in a minute. And you guys, some of you have seen parts of this, or maybe all of it, so it might be a refresher for you and it might not. But I hope you're ready to go deep. I kind of simplify this a little bit, but I think it's also an opportunity to go a little bit deeper. Um, this I do the only important part of this that the person who put this together for me wanted me to show you a picture of the family. That was my daughter's wedding. Um, out on our farm, out on our small farm, and but now I have a grandson from these two. So that was fun. The important part is that I see therapy as a path to uncovering patterns that no longer serve us. And we all have those patterns. So part of my therapy is to help someone recognize those and then decide how they want to move forward. And this is one of the methods that I use to do that, is to consider that we're a masterpiece and a work of art at the same time. And I choose a work of art. Somebody, you might have heard work in progress, but I think we're a work of art. And do you know who the artist is? It's ourselves. Yeah. We're creating that art. Uh, kind of accepting our humanity, developing cognitive flexibility in what it is, how we practice it on a daily basis, to align ourselves from the inside out. And then last tonight we'll go over some takeaways, your takeaways, or something that I hope kind of gets in your blood. Um, Part of this is the acceptance that you are the masterpiece. I love this statue because he's working on himself, right? He's collected some stuff over time, and you're not seeing the real him that's inside. What do you guys can put this in the chat. That'll probably be the easiest because then we can kind of read everybody's thoughts. But what does it mean to you to be a work of art? Or if you prefer, a work in progress? And maybe you can help me, Tanisha, because I don't know if the chat will come up, but if you can read them or something. What does it mean to be a masterpiece? Can you be both at the same time? There's a difference. So I want everybody to respond in the chat, whether you think being a masterpiece and work of art is a dichotomy, meaning it can exist at the same time. It's division or contrast, opposed or entirely different. Or if you would say it's more of a paradox.
Mm.
A
So to your
seeming
first question, Grant, we do have a few replies.
Perfect,
So we've got,
perfect.
it means that there's still hope. It means that we're 1% better every day. Letting go of what no longer fits or serves you, or that I'm never complete, right? I like all of those. I think they're all very progressive.
Thank you. Yes, I love all those too. Okay. Can you be both? Just throw in there yes or no. Just your own thoughts. Do you see it as a dichotomy or a paradox? Paradox being maybe it's absurd or contradictory statement or proposition that when investigated or explained may prove to be well-founded or true. And so I postulate that this is a paradox.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
suggest
we're
it's,
getting a lot of yeses. I like Delaney says a beautiful and unique piece that has meaning.
oh, wow.
Steph, a masterpiece means you continuously work on it or work on it more and put more time and effort into it as it's your passion. It's so true, right? We'll work on something that we want, that we're passionate about. So are we passionate about ourselves? I like that question. There's a paradox for you.
Those will just fit right in. Love it.
Yeah. Great job, guys.
So I'm asking you to remember the masterpiece that already exists within you. So I sometimes think of a baby that's just born and what sense that gives us, to look at the innocence, the purity, the vulnerability of a brand new baby and the trust. Maybe no, when they look you in the eye and there's zero judgment, there's just pure curiosity. This is one of the closest things to a masterpiece that I can imagine, um, that I've seen. Um, I, Marianne Williamson says, love is what we're born with. Fear is what we learn. The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and prejudices and the acceptance of love back in our hearts. Love is the essential reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others is the meaning of life. Meaning does not lie in things, meaning lies within us. And I think those little babies are just pure love, you know? The interesting thing is that, like that statue you saw, we take the rest of our life, at some young age, somebody says something that alters our path. When we're young, we're just being, we're just playing, we don't care. We can dance without judgment. We can run through the house without it until all of a sudden someone does stop us and say, you can't do that anymore. And then starts to create a value system, which is the first layer, but we'll get there. So if you take this center circle that we are the masterpiece, and I'll get back to the circles, we'll come back to here. But first we have to see that this is true, that we're a masterpiece and a work of art at the same time. And I just made up this acronym from my own reading or practice or whatever. Then we want to accept and be aware of it in the moment that it's going on. If we don't see something, we can't change it. So for example, and you guys can throw this in the chat too, do you spend more time on your masterpiece or your work of art? And then last, not least, we metabolize it. Then we can metabolize it. If we're aware of it, we can metabolize it. And I just like the analogy of our physical metabolization too, right? We're going to take small bites so that we can digest what it is. Our bodies naturally eliminate what we don't need and hopefully keep the nutrients that we do need. And what we take into our mind or our eyes or our body in any way, we want it to be healthy so that we can have nutrients and then eliminate what we don't need. because yeah, we get the good with the bad. The very core is the masterpiece, something that exists within you. It's inexplicable. It's a place of I don't know, a place of just being. So if you tell me that you don't know the answer to a question, I think, well, that's good because that's where we start. If this masterpiece is a baby, there's not a response. It's just I'm just here. I'm just being. I'm just this. You tell me you're the one that brought me here, you know? Then we got our values. And this was the values exercise I wanted you guys to do is that's the closest thing that I can imagine to our just being. Sometimes you don't recognize it, but you're operating from your value system. I used to consider conflicting values, but I think it's more of puzzle piecing values together, and it changes in the very moment. It changes with the situation, with the time. Our value systems will just fluctuate a tiny bit, even though we operate from some very, very core values. Outside of our value system are our beliefs. We keep those a little bit closer to ourselves too. We keep our values close to ourselves. But this might be the politics and religion circle that people tell you don't talk politics and religion at the family reunion, please. Don't talk about finances. These are things that we tend to have pretty strong beliefs about, and then if we're not careful, then it separates us from people. This masterpiece isn't separate. This is connected to everybody. It's our job. You know the concept of namaste. This you could call the masterpiece the divine, right? The divine in me sees and honors the divine in you. So we're working to see that in ourselves. And like someone said in the chat, give it attention. It's the masterpiece. It's what we care about. It's what we're passionate about. Give that so much attention that it just grows and overshadows these other circles. Next, circle out your emotions. You may or may not share your emotions with someone. Thoughts more readily shared, and then behaviors outside of that. You know, behaviors are just what you might see out of somebody that you don't know, walking down the street, and you're going to make an interpretation of that anyway. But it's not who they are. Then they might share some thoughts with you. I was going to buy that, or I was going to buy this. They may be a complete stranger. They may walk up to you at, I like to joke about Home Depot, especially if you're a woman, you might need some help at Home Depot. Isn't there a TikTok thing trending about that? I had someone tell me once, I cannot go into I cannot go into Home Depot without somebody coming up to me. I know what I want. I know what I need. I don't need your help. Just let me go to Home Depot without you bothering me. So that's not a plug for
This is a woman saying this, sir?
no, yeah, woman said that, yeah.
I wish that they would come and help me.
Yeah, we can't track them down for some help, and yet they're helping everybody.
He's a man. He doesn't even need help in Home Depot. Wrongo.
Yep. So
Hope I can get.
whole judging a book by the cover. So behaviors you might see and interpret. Maybe they'll share some thoughts. Maybe you get a connection with someone and they share some emotions with you, and you're peeling back these layers, right? Beliefs, ooh, be careful, but you're going to share those with the people close to you. Your value system, though you operate from that all the time, maybe we hold that close. And the masterpiece that always exists. So just going back a slide, if we want to process, so all of these layers, that's the work in progress or the work of art, is to peel that back, work. And this is the masterpiece that just exists. How do we work? We see what we're coming from. Oh, that's my belief. That's my thought. That's an emotion. It's not who I am. We don't identify with it, but we do recognize what it is. We accept that that's what it is and be aware of it in the moment, and then metabolize and dig back into the masterpiece.
So could Grant working on the, like if you're in the process of working, I mean, I guess to me, it all kind of blends together, but if we're focused on the work of art, is the work of art the small bites that help us metabolize to the masterpiece?
Yes. I think, yeah, well said.
Mm.
Yeah, we're working on ourselves. We're working on all the stuff outside at the same time as growing that inside. And if we grow that inside piece, you guys said it really well in the chat. If we grow that inside piece, we automatically have an alignment of the rest of these pieces.
Yeah.
So that's
Each
what,
bite
that's what these
takes you
circles are,
closer to
is
that.
being in
Yeah.
alignment. What's that?
I said each bite takes you closer to the center.
Yeah. We can get really dysregulated if we aren't in alignment with these. If your values get out of alignment with the masterpiece, or your beliefs or your emotions get out of alignment, you get really dysregulated. Yeah. When you're in alignment, it increases your capacity to connect to others and to connect to yourself, really, to connect to the masterpiece. Um, so how do we do it? You've heard of neuroplasticity or cognitive flexibility. And the visual that I like is, these red rock mountains here close to us. As the rains come down, no matter, let's say the rain brings with it some negative thoughts or negativity or whatever, and the rain has to find a place and a pathway through those rocks to drain down. And the more rain and the more water, that gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is what rumination looks like. We create this neural pathway that our brain always wants to go to. In fact, it's so much more comfortable there that it does it automatically for us. And so that big red rock is just a great big brain carrying that water wherever it wants to go. And we just think it and think it, think it. So cognitive flexibility or neuroplasticity has several routes that it can travel through those red rocks or through the brain. So we got more places firing. How do we do that? It's just like any other muscle. Cognitive behavioral therapy will say, okay, that's one way to look at it. Now give me 5 more thoughts that could be true. That person's not texting me back because they hate me. That person's not texting me back because they're busy. That person's not texting me back. So we're creating new neural pathways instead of always going, they hate me, they hate me, they hate me, they hate me. Different kinds of therapy are going to do the same exact thing. They're going to challenge thought. It's going to create neuroplasticity in one way or another. It has to do with perspective. Hopefully that's clear of why we want it, why it's important. Once we see ourselves, say we have a positive experience with our masterpiece, then we're able to see others as well, and some true connections start to happen. So it's hard to, if I don't have an emotional IQ for myself, then how will I recognize what someone else is feeling? And I could take a guess at it. Hey, you seem like you might be a little sad today. Oh, that's weird. I'm actually not sad, but I am such and such. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. But because I approached it or led with a little vulnerability, they might be open to sharing that as well. If I don't recognize my belief system or my value system, maybe it'll be hard to recognize that in others. And if I don't recognize my masterpiece and just think I'm a piece of shit instead of a masterpiece, then I might just think everybody else is too. It's something to look forward to or to challenge in ourselves, right?
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
This is just in here to say that why are we suffering? Because we're out of alignment. Can we stop suffering? No, but we can learn to suffer well. We can want an end to suffering, but it's not going to happen. We're going to die. We are going to get sick. We are going to have emotion, and that can be hard sometimes. You know what? I love, I can't think of her name right now. Does anybody garden? Just
I
nod or
want to.
Megan, you do. So,
Kimmy does. Kim Gardens.
okay. I can only see
Grant, Steph had a question because she said, "What theory is this from? It reminds me of Buddhism and how to recognize the ego to get to the root of our natural inner being to recognize how we came into the world before all the fears and social conditioning put on us by society. Isn't this your own thing that you've created?
It is. It no definitely has a flavor of Buddhism for sure. Um, Plus all the theoretical orientations that I feel like have ebbed and flowed through my life. Like what might be the therapy of the day or the diagnosis of the year, whether pop culture or yeah, I just and as our diagnostic criteria has evolved from the DSM-4 to the 5 to the 5 text revision. So our whatever I had was in here, and this was just my way to conceptualize it. But no, I've borrowed from several places, yeah, or books I read. I I read a lot of self-help stuff because it's interesting to me, and I always have before I was a therapist.
I'm
Did
just
I?
wondering, yes, I'm just wondering if the concept for you, okay, I was thinking about it because you said values fluctuate or can, which kind of reminded me of um, homeostasis, but also reminded me of Buddhism. Is the concept that uh, like your masterpiece is who you are at your core, kind of, before everything else?
Yeah, that is the concept stuff. Yeah. Sometimes, I kind of sometimes just want to leave that middle circle blank. And when I'll share it, if I share it with someone in my office, I like to ask them what they call it. Because I've heard like, oh, I call that my spirit, my core, my God self, divine. Um, some don't know. And like I said, I like that. I like that this place that's inexplicable that maybe we don't know, and that's okay too, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I think you describe it well for sure.
Okay.
And see if this
Okay.
unfolds and seems to match what you're thinking too. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I guess, yeah, I'll listen to you talk more too, because I still don't understand, I guess, where the work of art comes in versus the masterpiece
Um,
part.
yeah, and also another question to kind of throw in the mix. Court has brought up something cool. So if the masterpiece is our greatest work, ourselves, right? If our values, etc., is out of alignment, we are not currently living within our masterpiece? Question mark.
Correct. Let me go back to Steph's though, real quick before we get too far.
Perfect.
Steph, the difference is that there's no work to be done on the masterpiece. It already exists, no matter what. So the work of art or the work in progress are recognizing the rest of these circles.
Okay.
So that's where those two things to me exist at the same time. I
And
mean,
is that, sorry, Grant.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I should say is so as we move through each one of these circles to get to the innermost circle, so those are where we're kind of taking those bites, where we use the SAM method, where we see it, we're aware of it, and we accept it, and then we metabolize it. As we metabolize it, we can kind of get closer to the center, right?
Correct. Yep. Metabolize it. See what's in line with the core of yourself, and see if you can make that align with with like I was saying, that baby that you're holding that didn't attach to all the horrible stuff that people told it or gave it or whatever as it was a child growing up. That's another thing about therapy is uh we're using your adult consciousness sometimes to heal your child consciousness, because as a child, and you might say, well, Grant, okay, yeah, EMDR, I get it, you want to process that memory so I'm better in the moment. That doesn't seem like a big deal to me. I was a child, someone you know didn't pick up the doll, and I thought that meant that they hated me. And then I found all the evidence the rest of my life that people hate me because they didn't do this or they didn't do that or they didn't do that, and I just know that I'm a really highly hated person. But I know the doll memory isn't a big deal. Well, the reason it's a big deal is because it's not a big deal now because you're an adult and you look at that as a child, but you're carrying the same theme and you're collecting the same data as an adult. It's just bigger. It's adult challenges instead of child challenges. That might be too much.
It's almost like we set rules or rules happen as kids or something. Like something happens and then we then decide, okay, every time now this is going to happen, so I'm not going to do it, and change behavior kind of. And then I think over time those patterns and the neuroplasticity keep going and we're not even aware of it at that point anymore, that it's a rule. And then it's, you know, like what you were saying about then that thing happened as a kid and then it impacts, and then you kind of positively reinforce your negative rule or view with your lived experiences then. And it's really hard to then get back to the root of like what was that original rule.
Yeah. We'll call it confirmation bias sometimes. Like, so see, that just confirms what I already believe. And I started that when I was 3, 4, 5. Oh, see, there's the evidence again. So we collect all the data and all the evidence that I'm unattractive, unlovable, whatever that is. Because it just confirms, and we've already got a bias toward it, and it feels familiar, and it's that same path just headed right through those red rocks. Yeah. Let me share another writing with you real quick.
Hey, Grant, I got to split, man. I got another meeting I have to go to, but thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Thanks for joining, Nick. Yeah.
Have a great day. Bye.
Right. This is by David Brooks. Let's see, what did he write? Maybe you guys know. I don't know. I liked this article he wrote. I know I read one of his books. Anyway, he says, many of society's great problems flow from people not feeling seen and known. There is a core trait that we all have to get better at, and that is the trait of seeing each other deeply and being deeply seen. I just so believe that. And when I think of deeply seen, I think see the divine, see the masterpiece, and people will see that. Like a baby, when it looks at you, it potentially sees the masterpiece, and you can see in the eyes what that means. I kind of got called out each time I was seeing someone, a family member, when I was in my 20s. I was like, what are you on now? What did you take today? What did you take before? I wasn't seeing the masterpiece. I was just seeing the drugs. I was just seeing nothing. I don't know. What is that? What am I seeing? Am I seeing a behavior? Am I seeing a thought or an emotion? What am I seeing? Because I'm certainly not seeing the masterpiece. I'm not greeting this person with, oh man, it's so great to see you. And with love, I'm just saying, what are you on this time? So I was glad someone called me out for that. So this is what out of alignment looks like. So to metabolize, just see what it is. Is it a behavior, a thought, emotion, whatever I was doing? And people tell me different things because I might reference back and say, okay, where is it? Which circle are you in right now? And then let's get that in alignment with the masterpiece.
There's a question in the chat
Oh,
about
thanks.
Oh yeah, Leonie
Court.
switched for Courtney's question, and then Kimmy has a question.
Hey, did I skip over a question?
No, you're all right. We're looking at a lot. So Courtney's question was, so if the masterpiece is our greatest work, which is ourselves, if our values, etc., is out of alignment, we are not currently living within our masterpiece.
Oh, thanks, Courtney. I love these clarifying questions. We're not. So the way I'm hearing the question is we work on our masterpiece, but the only work we're doing on our masterpiece is being able to see it and know that it exists in a pure form without fault, without any fixing, without needing to do anything with it, except for be seen. The rest is the work. So if you're coming from your masterpiece, you're automatically in alignment with your values and everything else. It's that sometimes we do these behaviors like, if we're activated or triggered, like I'll catch myself driving down the road, not coming from my masterpiece, rather coming from an emotion. Like it's easy examples. I just got cut off. I feel so disrespected. So then it becomes an emotion, or maybe anger, or maybe disrespected is the thought, and maybe the emotion is anger. I don't know. And then if I get deeper inside that circle, I believe that this guy thinks he's more important than me and that I don't deserve the road, but he does.
Mm.
I don't, and then all those things, all of a sudden you're dysregulated and you're not able to come from your best self.
Such great self-regulating questions,
Yeah. Thanks.
Kimmy, go ahead.
I was just wondering if can you go back to the other slide where they're out of balance, Grant? Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. So I guess like my next question would be, how do you know which one you need to work on first? Is it a linear thing? Like, should you start with identifying your core values? Or do you just kind of have to choose which one? Like sometimes it's hard to recognize which one we need to work on, honestly.
I think so an inside out would be almost like the first question you'll ask is, am I coming from my best self? Am I coming from the masterpiece or the most divine self right now? And then if you're not, you can recognize, you can even take that values thing that you guys have, and you have 5 core values, and think, am I in alignment with are my values in alignment with that? Or where did I get out of alignment?
I think that's the key for me. It would be identifying my core values because I've done that before, but I haven't done it since I've, raised my kids and I'm an empty nester and, all of those things. So I need to probably go back and identify my core values. Like that's probably number one for me. I just wondered if it was a linear thing or if you just ask yourself that question. Am I
Yeah,
out of alignment?
it's probably the first thing that I would say,
Okay.
and even with hindsight, like say you got in an argument, maybe you're not ready to do it in the moment. I wish we could do it in the moment, right? Like I want to see it in the moment. Part of that work is being able to make the distance between my recognition, my seeing, accepting, and aware, to shrink the time frame. So don't recognize it tomorrow morning when you've got all this guilt, like, oh, I was a complete asshole last night, I need to apologize. Like do it in the moment. Like, oh, hold on a sec, I'm not coming from my best self right now, I need to take a break or whatever. Or yeah, I mean, just admit it, see it, accept and be aware of it, and then metabolize it. Yeah. I wish it was more linear, but I think I'd start with the inside, am I in line? And then just maybe you can say, oh, values, where am I not in alignment with my beliefs or my emotions or my thoughts or behaviors? Yeah. Does that answer, Kim? Okay. Okay, so freaking Emily Dickinson nailed this, and it's a complicated poem. I've read it a million times, but I'll do a little interpreting, or you can just type it into Chat GPT. She says, "Me from myself to banish had I art, impregnable my fortress unto all heart. I'm not letting it in. You can't get inside my heart, and I have to tear myself apart to make this happen." To me, she's speaking of the masterpiece and the work of art. But since myself assault me, so all of the beliefs and my out of alignment stuff assaults me, the core of who I am, how can I have peace? Except by subjugating consciousness. So again, I have to banish myself from myself. I have to get out of my own consciousness to be in this space. I have to be okay with, I don't know. Oh, are you kidding me? I know everything. And since we're mutual monarch, or we're both kings, the masterpiece and the work of art, well, yeah, I don't want to do without my brain. Thank you very much. I don't want to do without my heart that gives me emotion. I'm not going to get rid of my values. We're mutual monarch. How can I do this? Except by abdication. Me of me? I have to suppress myself to be myself? You make no sense. That's why I think this is such a paradox. And I love it. I love paradox. I think life is full of paradoxes. I just love how she says that. I feel understood. I feel seen. So ask yourself if you're ever out of alignment. I think it's a human experience personally, sometimes. How can we more frequently be in alignment? Becomes the question. And am I more aligned today or yesterday? And all the tools that I've learned at the bridge or anywhere else, like, okay, I'm not my best self with that acronym HALT. If I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, suddenly I wasn't my best self. The end of the day was harder for me than the morning, something like that. Ask yourself if you can do that. And if you really want to see someone else, the core of who they are, the masterpiece, can you validate them when you don't agree? Because they're having a valid experience for them, and maybe they're in alignment with the core of who they are. That just becomes the question. Like, is that your best self right now? Is that your best self in this situation? And see their best self even when their behaviors and everything else don't seem to align, if we know you're better than what you are. But you got to know it in yourself too. I know I'm better than what I'm giving myself credit for. Maybe that's part of the abdication, me of me. And this trigger warning, and forgive ourselves. And then we can forgive others. Like there's a peace in that. I forgive you when you're out of alignment. I forgive you when you're not coming from your best self. And I forgive myself too when I'm not my best self. I don't want to ruminate on what I just did last night. Wasn't good. I want to ruminate on what I did last week. I also don't want to freak out about all the what ifs of the future. That just gives me anxiety. I don't even have those answers yet. But forgive myself for it and bring myself right back to the present. Life is a meditative practice, right? It's just awareness in the moment.
Steph has a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steph.
I do. I'm okay, so some of the concept is still not clicking in my head. Neurotypical, I don't know. But let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to get it in my head too. But the poem that you read kind of reminded me of Sierra taught me at the bridge, like inner family systems and how you have these coping mechanisms and then you can tell them to be a passenger and you're the driver. I don't know, is that kind of what this is like? Like you have these other things like emotions, values, beliefs that come in and maybe you don't in the moment act from your masterpiece self, which is just you. And then you're out of alignment when you're responding in that way. So then you kind of tell those things to be a passenger and you're in charge. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to understand this. That was just something I thought I
You're
had.
right, Steph. That's the exact same concept in a big way. However the concept comes home for you or for anybody, I think is important. Yeah, internal family systems or IFS therapy is we have these parts that come up for us that are protector parts. And if we're not in danger, but that protector part's used to coming up, it's that same pathway through the rocks, right? Like we needed that protector part and we dissociated at one point and it protected us, and thank you. But if it comes up and I want to dissociate while I'm driving, but I don't need you right now, I'm not in danger, you thank this part and you invite it to the back of the bus and you just say, I'm the masterpiece, and you just keep driving. Yeah. Yeah. Same concept.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Grant, so Leon has a question as well. He said, how can I tell when I'm getting out of alignment before I hit a wall?
I think that's a really good question, Leon. And I think the best answer I have is presence, like shrinking that distance I was talking about between, like, recognizing more quickly what we're going through or when we're out of alignment. Right now, am I in alignment or no? Maybe it takes me 5 minutes because I didn't expect a car to come crash into the building right now. Longer than 5 minutes for that disaster. But anyway, or for this old part of me to step up to protect me that I don't need, recognize, oh, there you are again. Thank you. And back of the bus. Just shrink that distance, I think, so that we can avoid crashing into the wall. But it takes practice, just like exercising any other muscle. Does that help? I don't know.
Yeah, it certainly helps. But it's there's so many, having just come out of the program about a week now, maybe two, it's hard to get put all the information in action. And I know we can't rush into things, but you leave and you're coming in with all the stimuli of real life. And I try to practice. I try to do the right things. And and I want to say, but people don't cooperate. And it's hard to stay centered and stay true to yourself, without pissing people off, or and then you start to move off your center, right? To protect others, especially loved ones, family members, good friends, coworkers, whatever. And the next thing you know, you're moving off of your center. You're moving off of what your pursuit of your masterpiece. So I think you're right. I think yes, shrink the distance. I get that, but it for me, who can be mercurial, it's difficult to, because once I get off a center, it takes me a while to get back on it.
So, first of all, thanks for sharing it. Like personal experience, really. Like you have experience with this, and you notice. I hope you take this in a good way because this is what I hear. This is what I hear is going on. Somebody did something that I wanted to control. I couldn't control it, and in essence, they ended up controlling me. That seems about right.
Yes.
Yeah. These people will not be controlled. I don't want to be controlled by someone else. They're going to do stupid stuff. I'm going to do stupid stuff. So what I'm recommending from this presentation is that person that did the thing that you didn't like, was it a behavior? Was it a stupid thought they had? Was it their politics? Was it this? Was it their bigotry? What was it?
Mm-hmm.
And know that that's not the core of who they are. That's not their masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
You can put your hand on them and say, I'm sure you meant well by that. It didn't land well. And I can love you anyway. And you're not going to take me outside myself because this core of who I am is full of light and love and is pure and whatever. You
That's
know what I
helpful.
mean? I don't
Yes.
want to be I'm the same as you. I mean, I'm human. Yes, I am controlled by others. I just don't want to be. And that's one way that I can do it because those kind of things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kimmy,
Yeah,
did you have something you wanted to say? Sorry, Grant. Kim, did you
I
have
just
something?
don't want to pretend like it's the easy thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, similar to what Leon said, and interestingly, I think the week before you guys got out of your session from the bridge on one of the aftercare calls like tonight. I just said, I just wish people would do what they say they're going to do.
I
And so,
remember you saying that.
yeah, right? I was just like,
Mhm.
don't tell me if you're not going to do it. I'd just
Yeah.
rather not you I'd just rather you not tell me. Like so that's where I have a hard time with it because yes, I'm still letting that person control me.
Yeah.
And so how like then I'm just like, well, fuck people then. Sorry. Sorry.
And,
I think it's too, it comes down to that whole part, Grant, where it's like the validation of self, right? Like you can validate your own feelings that like of how, of offense or whatever it is that's like running through you, see it and validate it and try to see how you can reconnect with the divine part of you. Kind of, right, Grant? I don't know.
yeah. I
Um,
think if if I can quote Kim
You
is
you probably shouldn't. You
okay.
probably shouldn't.
Okay, when you
It's
say
fine.
that,
I won't judge you.
when you say that, is that your most divine self?
No,
Only maybe it is for you. I
it's
honestly
not.
don't know, and I
I'm
would want to know.
sunshine and light and love. Like
So
that's all I want.
so kind of the same thing that that we're all battling is I've just let go of my control of myself, my most divine self because of something you did. And what sounds like the seed that was planted, I think, was something they promised you.
Yep.
You expected they would keep the promise and they didn't. And traumas, big T and little t, are packed full of that. A
Mm-hmm.
betrayal of some sort, betrayal of self, or someone betraying us,
Okay.
betraying themselves.
right.
Okay.
So I expect you're going to keep your word. Isn't that like standard protocol? Well, we thought it was. And when someone's in alignment with their masterpiece or even their value system, yeah. But then something gets hard. And so they weren't honest. And all of a sudden that circle turns and they're out of alignment. So then it's just kind of our job to say, okay, they're out of alignment. Where's that masterpiece at? Be able to see that
Mm.
and forget.
Okay.
So Megan made a good comment in the chat. It's hard not to shame myself when I get out of alignment. I'm at a point now where I can at least feel it in my nervous system where I'm able to tell because my day is getting off schedule or I'm spending more time than I want to in my head and I'm not feeling aligned with the day of myself. Aligned with the day or myself. But then I start to shame myself for not doing all the work and feeling like I caused it because upon myself because I missed a meditation, etc., which gets me even farther away, right? Where just that shame corner. I think we all do that, Meg.
Okay, let me say this. Okay, easiest with a Buddhist parable. Yes, this is Buddhist stuff. Um, do you guys know the second arrow parable? Think this to yourself in that situation. Okay, I'll butcher the story. I won't tell the story right, but the point will be there. Man walks through the forest. He gets shot with an arrow. Ouch, that hurts. Then what? Oh man, I'm going to be freaking late for dinner. I've got this stupid scar. I don't know how I'm going to get this out. Whenever I get this out, people are going to laugh at me. Also, what a mess, all this blood pouring down me. Da 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 da. This is going to take me longer to get anywhere. How long is it going to take to heal? I'm less of a man now because I've got a hole in my chest. That's all second arrow stuff. The first arrow did enough damage. The second arrow he put on himself. The masterpiece was probably hit with an arrow with some traumas along the way, small t, big T, whatever it was. The rest of that stuff tends to be what we're piling on ourselves, the second arrow stuff. So if you can catch yourself and say, "Oh, that's second arrow," and stop. Because if you don't, there's your neural pathway. And you don't want your brain to do that anymore. Enough's enough, you know? Hey, that first arrow, whew, wow, that hurt. This is an interesting thing too. I've told you guys stories of injuring myself before. Might as well tell another one. If I stop living, then I'll stop injuring myself. As long as I'm doing stuff, I'm gonna get hurt, right? Shutting down kind of the farm. I got an overhead shop garage door. I push the button for it to close. The kids have all gone, so I could just settle down into the house. Push the button, the garage door comes down, then it starts to go back up, and I'm like, oh no, you don't. It's a 12-foot door. So I jump up to stop it, and I grab a hold of the door and just split my fingers wide open. And it hurt. And I thought that was really dumb. I did all this, started to get to do the second arrow stuff, right? Go inside the house. I had to think for a minute if my wife would care if I told this, but she won't. So I go inside the house. I said, "Oh," and the first thing she says, "What happened? What'd you do?" Because she's used to these kind of things happening out there. And I said, I something stupid, and yeah, I'm rinsing that. I think I'm gonna be fine. Of course, it really needed some stitches, but she's like, "When are you gonna stop?" And I was kind of laughing because I'm like, if we're not gonna hurt, we got to stop living. If we're not gonna hurt anymore, if we're not gonna suffer, I don't want to stop doing projects and working on the farm or having the kids over or whatever it is. But I'll tell you this: one observation I made. Okay, this was super painful. I mean, it looked bad. It hurt. I'm glad my fingers are still there. Um, but the pain, I knew that it was not permanent, and somehow that made the pain less. And somehow I stopped the second arrows from coming in after, okay, that was really stupid. And guess what? What's very interesting to me, and I totally believe this, is right before I jumped to do that, I knew I shouldn't do that. And I overrode my own intuition or my own masterpiece, knocked myself out of alignment, did the freaking behavior anyway. And guess what? Paid the price. But I can pay the price of a hurt finger. I can pay the price of wrecking everybody else's night by cussing my head off, not laughing at myself, or getting in a fight with her about why you always tell me I got to stop living, or whatever it was. But I didn't need to. It could just stop with hurt fingers. It's just an analogy for life. I don't know. Hopefully that story makes any sense. Okay. So staying in alignment increases our capacity to connect. I know we're running. Okay, good. Here's a few takeaways that I'd like you to take. I love to talk about this stuff. Loved you guys' questions tonight. Accept that we're all a masterpiece and a work of art at the same time. It's a bit of a paradox, but it's there. Dedicate space and time to see, accept, and metabolize when we're out of alignment. Just stop. Just right now, do it. Practice cognitive flexibility and forgiveness for yourself. Oh, whoops. Just like when you practice meditation, when your mind wanders, you don't judge it, you just bring it back to the moment. Same thing. Be flexible. Just let it happen. Bring it back. Forgive yourself for doing it. Move on. When you find yourself out of alignment, be present in the moment and align from the inside out. Align from the masterpiece. Work your way back out. Do this with me. Just put your hand out in front of you, and just put your attention on your hand and notice any sensations that you feel in your hand. Maybe a breeze, maybe not, maybe tingling, maybe you have some pain there. I don't know. Notice it, and then just roll your hand over and notice if anything changes. Be really aware of what's going on with your hand right now. If it gets tired, if your mind wanders, why is he doing this? This is weird, whatever, bring it right back to your hand. Focus on your hand. And then just take your hand and put it right close to your forehead, but don't touch. And see if any sensation in your hand or your head changes. And just notice it. And then go ahead and let it touch and see what changes. See if there's a warmth on your forehead or your hand. If there's moisture, dry, rough. And then just drop your hand to your heart. See if you can feel some warmth and a heartbeat. Be aware right there in the moment. Yeah, then just relax. Any type of awareness is a meditation. Bring it back to your hand, whatever you're focusing on, and you can do that. That's just being very present with yourself. So you can be present in these moments and know what that core needs, or if you're in alignment with that core. And then make those small adjustments with those rings so you're in alignment. 2 minutes for questions if we didn't get the other questions answered.
Anything got anything? Anyone got anything? Anything got anything? La, la, la.
Grant, can you put that slide back on with the takeaways?
There you go, man.
Yeah, perfect.
You know what?
I have a comment.
Please comment.
Okay, let's see. Back to what Leon was saying earlier about transitioning back to life after the bridge and kind of people. I've been away from the bridge for a year, and I was just gonna share kind of what has been helping me lately, and something that I think, who said it? Dave, I think, said it. Dave had said it one time within the last month or two of one of these bridges calls that when you go back into your normal life, that people have a version of you that they thought that you were, and now when you come back from the bridge and you're changed and you're trying to implement your new self and your new rules and boundaries and all that, that people have like an attachment to who they think you are or who they thought you were. And so whenever I'm a people pleaser and all that stuff, whenever I try to now, like, the thing that has been helping guide me kind of and ground me is telling myself, okay, when I start to notice things and be aware of them in the moment, because it's overwhelming to try to take on everything. I'm trying to just take on things as I become aware of them, issues and stuff like that, and address it in the moment, kind of like Grant was showing with this, like, see and metabolize. I'm trying to address things in the moment and just reassert my boundaries. And what grounds me lately is telling myself, when I start to fall back into those old habits, like with my mom or stuff like that and patterns, is tell myself, my thought patterns before are what got me into the bridge in the first place. Like, got me to the low point that I was at. Like, my mental patterns and all that, my behaviors, that's what got me there. So I need to do something different. So that's what, I don't know, helps guide me lately, is like, when other people kind of want you to go back to your old self, we really have to like align with ourselves and be like, no, there's a reason I'm important and I have to listen to myself, and use that strength to help assert, you know, and keep going your own path.
Thanks, Steph. That's helpful. It's nice for a lot of the ones who are just, kind of getting back into things to hear from those who have been home for a little while, to kind of hear what's working for you. And that, I think it all goes hand in hand with what we're talking about tonight, like recentering, going back to, okay, I know my masterpiece this isn't a part of my masterpiece. So where can I put my energy? How can I metabolize what I'm now aware of? I think that's awesome. Anything else, guys? Grant, you're the bomb.
I think I want to stack a little bit on what Steph said, just real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
We know that systems are resistant to change, and you have a family system or a social system. So you guys came out of the system, developed some skills. Now you're put back into the system. That system says, no, we know how this works. This is how it's going to work. It happens in a family where, and usually unfortunately, it seems to cycle around trauma. Like if you were the rowdy teenager, you might go back to see your parents and they see the rowdy teenager because that's what caused them the most pain. And so they automatically want to treat you like a teenager. And if you're not healed, then you act like a teenager or feel like a teenager around your parents. But you don't want to be 50 and acting like a 13-year-old around your family. You don't want to let them put you back into that. So we back out, we heal, and your masterpiece should match your current age too. And at any time in your life, you can, like, if you're out of alignment, just for fun, ask yourself how old you're being. Like how old what am I coming from right now? Like, what is this, And you might be surprised. And you might say, well, if I'm acting like a 13-year-old, I don't think my wife wants to be married to a 13-year-old because that's gross. So then we could just mature a little bit.
I love that.
But it's a real deal because that system, hey, no, we know what to expect from you. Don't go changing up on us. We're used to, even though everybody says they want you to change, there's still a place that they put you.
Right.
Especially when there's hurt there. I don't know.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
They have their own red rocks that it's running over as well. So
yeah,
we all kind of have that to deal with. I love it. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for participating. Grant, thank you for being awesome.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks, Keisha.
Thank you.
Next week, what is next week? The 13th. Oh, Angela, does anyone remember Angela Shields? She's been away on maternity leave for a while. She's one of our therapists at the Bridge as well. She is making her way back, and she will be presenting next Wednesday. So,
yay!
If you haven't met Angela yet, please come and join us. She's fabulous. You'll love her. She's awesome. So grateful for all of you and being here. Please keep up the good work, and we will see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you, Grant. See you tomorrow, Grant.